Everything is flowing just as it should. This is exactly what happens with markets. When they're up, everybody's getting euphoric. When they're down, everybody is starting to panic, and or the hate starts to come out. And this is exactly what I'm seeing all over Twitter. And so it's even being shown clearly in the charts as far as I'm concerned. So with that, let's actually have a look at what's happening with pDAI, what's happening with the Atropa ecosystem. So this chart, everybody's familiar with different versions of this chart. So the psychology of crypto market cycles. So this is Poseidon 555. He posted this the other day. I bookmarked it. The fear and greed index. This is talking about the cycles on a large scale, but this also happens on a small scale. So all these little dips that you get along the way, it happens there too. The same thing that's happening on a macro scale is also happening on a micro scale. And why is that? It's because of the way people's perception of time exists. So people that are looking at the daily charts, people that are looking at the 1 hour charts, they're going to feel these kinds of emotions as they look at the 1 hour and the daily charts. People that are looking at the weekly charts, the experts, the pros, they don't get caught in these little emotions. They don't get caught in the little upswings of tick candles up and down, because when you're looking at it on a weekly chart, well, you don't even see the movement like you see it here. So this is something that's very, very important to keep an eye on. And this is something that I've become more and more in tune with. And now I'm seeing it all over Twitter. I'm getting all those indicators all over Twitter that we're getting close to a bottom. And so this is what I actually love to see, because I actually do want to buy more pDAI and I do want to buy more Atropa. So this kind of thing. So Stylo, I love Stylo. I like, for some reason, anytime he writes like these hateful posts, I can't help but be like, oh, I just love him. I just see him in that orange suit with the orange hat, and I'm just like, what a dude. So he's talking about, this honestly, 5 years ago, I would read this and I'd go, oh, my heart would sink. It's like, oh, because I don't have conviction in what I'm holding. Do I really believe in what I'm holding? Or have I just bought this because everybody else was telling me to buy it? So this is a key thing about the mindset. So he says, convince people you're smarter than, I'm not going to read it all, but yeah, convince people that you're smarter, set up bots, slowly drip out who you are. So he's talking about Maria, only allow communication via an obscure chat, pay B roots 12,000 a month, give people an unobtainable goal, make people think you're closely associated with your hero, drip information from a private centralized source that you control. So I'm seeing this is not the only one. I'm seeing this all over Twitter. All the Tang gang are firing up. They're really loving it. They're loving seeing pDAI down, because for some bizarre, obscure reason, there's this kind of pDAI versus Atropa thing going on within Pulsechain. I have always tried to avoid it. I've always just tried to stay neutral. But I mean, obviously, my content is more Atropa based, so it's obviously something where I've been naturally become more aligned with the Atropa ecosystem. Despite my best efforts, I wanted to align myself with the Tang gang, but it was hard. I got blocked straight away. It's just the way it was. They saw me for being the Atropa guy, which is a real pity, because orange is my favorite color. Look at my little look, my little orange coexist jumper. Man, what a pity. I would have made such a good Tang gang member. But yeah, it's kind of hard to integrate when, like, even I went into 9mm and they're like, you should have lent in a long time ago. You should have lent in. I'm like, bro, I got blocked. How was I ever gonna lean in? And then somebody else was like, how's pDAI going? I'm just like, what's wrong with you guys? This is not a religion, man. But anyway, this is how we are. So these are my indicators. This is clear to see. When I'm seeing the hate all over Twitter, the people that are dancing on our graves, we know things are starting to get towards the bottom. I can also see through this, I can see the emotion in this as well. I know that he doesn't like B roots. A lot of them don't like B roots. So a lot of them always mention B roots in all of this, because B roots is really like rubbing salt on their wounds. So then what happens when it reverses? When the chart reverses, then they rub salt on his wounds. So the cycle continues. This is how the human mind works. It's just tick for tack, 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 tick for tack. And I'm going to stop now, but I could literally keep going, because this is what's happened since the beginning of time with human relationships. tick for tack. That's why I try to exist outside of the human mind, because inside of the human mind, this is how it is. We always want to be right. We always want to prove that we're right. And so this is what I see play out. So it's really a superpower that I can see these things very clearly and be totally detached from what I'm seeing and really just read it as signs of where the market is actually going to go next. Because for me, nothing has changed with the Atropa ecosystem and pDAI. I have the same conviction that I had 3 months ago that I have now. Nothing has changed. My conviction remains the same. Saint Wolf, amazing, amazing. Had a great chat with Saint Wolf. It was such a pity that I felt like crap. I would like, we even went for 2 hours, but I just felt so low energy, but it was a really good talk. Go have a look at that, man. Saint Wolf, he's awesome for the Atropa ecosystem, because he's a very experienced person in cryptocurrency. He's basically retired in cryptocurrency, and he's all about the TA. So he was saying this is exactly where we should be looking. So he's saying this pDAI crashing shit is getting annoying AF. pDAI is doing exactly what I outlined in this video. The chart is gorgeous, to be honest. This is what I want to hear. This is exactly what I fundamentally believe as well. It will build support in the range of the last all-time high, roughly between 0.002 to 0.003. Consolidation time depends on market factors. Last time this happened was October 23 to January 24. Once again, you have an opportunity. Pulsechain is only competitive with Atropa and a decentralized stable pDAI under its hood. Very interesting. So I love Saint Wolf's perspective. I think he's got a great YouTube channel. It's growing nice and steady. So this is the chart that he was showing. So I'll see if I can link this video in the description as well. So if you guys want to go check it out, I would even recommend definitely going to go subscribe to Saint Wolf Crypto. Like, he's very, very onto it with crypto. He's very, very onto it with technical analysis. And this is going towards his price range. Of course, we want things to keep going up forever. Of course, who doesn't? But this is actually healthy for markets. It needs to come down. It needs to consolidate. It needs to form solid bottoms. And this is a market structure. It needs to form solid bottoms from where it can take off again. If it just keeps going parabolic, then no one's going to re-enter. People are just going to wait for, like, it's just human psychology. People are going to take profits and then rebuy. This is just how the market works. So now let's actually have a look at how this is playing out on the chart. So I'm going to look at pDAI first, and I'm going to pull this here so you don't get my head. So this is, so he's basically said, so yeah, we're pretty much looking at very similar target ranges. So if I pull this target up here, so this is about the within this range here. Yeah, again, I need to caveat this that I'm not a TA guy, but I mean, I'm starting to get things more and more right, to be honest. I mean, Zaki Booz doesn't like me for this, but I can't remember if I publicly said it on a video, if I was asking people, but I was questioning whether or not this was our top. I believed it was our local top. It was the 1 cent mark. I saw there was so much hype. Maria, like, I was feeling it when Maria came. I think this was, when was the Maria interview? The Maria interview in Zurich was kind of around about this time. I'm pretty sure it was around about this time, and it really caused a big surge in the market. I'm pretty sure it was in March. Caused the huge surge in the market. Again, it was the opposite. It was the opposite. So instead of seeing like all the people who were shitting on the graves, it was all the people that were boasting about how good it is, how it's the best investment. It's like, these are the signs of the euphoria that we really need to look out for. So I was saying, and I was one of the only ones saying, I'm pretty sure this is the local top, because I tried to be as objective as possible. And it's a difficult position to be in, because I understand Zach's perspective that I'm like almost speaking it into existence, but this is a healthy thing, man. This is a healthy thing for it to actually go down so more people can enter into it. So more people, the new people that start to learn about pDAI, I don't want them buying up here. I don't think they should be buying up here. I want them to be buying down here. So then instead of 1,000 people who are strong-handed here, we've now got 1,200 because another 200 people entered here. Like, for me, that's a much healthier long-term sustainable growth. That's why I like the concept of dips. It also means I can enter in as well. So the fact that I was very confident that I wasn't confident actually, but I really felt this could be a top because I was seeing those signs and I wanted to just see how other people were feeling, and nobody else was saying it was a top. So, right. This perspective that Somi keeps talking about being contrarian is really like, there's a lot of logic and value to that. So for me, this is an excellent buy zone within this area. So this is basically the same kind of area that Saint Wolf Crypto was talking about, between the 0.002 and the 0.003. So within this region, now it's entered into his, what would be his buy zone. So he's talking about the 0.003. So probably about up to, around up to 33. So yeah, this is fantastic. This is rock solid. This is a great chart. It's a great looking chart. We haven't seen a dead, man. I'll show you what dead looks like. Dead looks like base chain. That's dead. Or actually even more pronounced. This is dead. That's dead. That's Solana. That's base chain. Like this is not dead. This is slowly, like, it consolidated here. The market didn't know what it wanted to do. There's all these candles here. Which direction do we want to go? Do new buyers want to come in? New buyers are looking at this going, oh yeah, I want to enter into pDAI, but it's almost at 1 cent. They're probably thinking, well, everybody's going to start to sell. I don't want to buy yet. Maybe I'll wait for a dip. So there's this sideways consolidation going on here. Then we start to see a sell. It made its decision. We're going to go down. Then it consolidated more, a little bit more up. Didn't break this 0.01 cent and came back down now. And here, all I see in these candles is fear. That's all I see. I just see fear. I see people capitulating, and I see a little bit of fear and people selling. And I hope people don't sell too much. I mean, not financial advice, but for me, I'm going for that $1. And I actually, I'm not saying 100% it's going to peg, but I believe it can peg. I don't know how. I just believe that it can peg. So I'm staying with that vision. I think it's going to be amazing for Pulsechain if it does. So that's the vision that I want to have in my mind, because I think it's just the best fucking marketing you could possibly get for any chain. So why people just can't stand the idea just blows my mind. Like, what is wrong with you people? Can't we all just... Can't it just be good if all the tokens just do sick in the long run? Why do we have to like compare each other's dick sizes along the way? Does it really need to be like that? Honestly, but we do, unfortunately. That's just how it goes. That's just how humans are. So yeah, that's pDAI looking like it's entering a great buy zone. And across the board, man, it's the same. It's the same across the board. Atropa, same thing across the board. What does it look like against Pulsechain? Across the board, yeah, probably, yeah, look at that. Great. Fantastic. Nice little dip against Pulsechain. And you know what? Look how cheap Pulsechain is as well. This is the thing. So people are also going, whoa, you know what? Pulsechain is so freaking cheap at the moment. If Pulsechain runs, for example, which is one of the things that I was speculating on. So now if Pulsechain starts to run, this is where this could probably continue to dip because it's priced against Pulsechain. So if Pulsechain at these ridiculous lows, we're seeing 0.0004 against in Pulsechain. So that's where we are here. That's around about this line here, that kind of a value now. So we're seeing that value in Pulsechain. So people are going, you know what? I am going to rotate some of these profits that I've had in Atropa into Pulsechain because I think Pulsechain is going to go for a run. And if Pulsechain goes for a run, then what's going to happen? This is going to keep dropping. And then what's going to happen there? Then these people who sold Atropa against Pulsechain at 520 or 530, whatever it is, they can double their bag if Pulsechain goes for a run, because Pulsechain is looking primed and ready for a run. So this is another thing that's there to consider. We have Teddy Bear, which has fallen out of that range, which again, I mean, it's been in that range, been in that box for such a long time, basically since... I mean, it tantalized with this box since the start of the year, and then it's existed within there, and now it's fallen out of there. So again, another great buy zone. What are the kind of dips that we're going to get? At the moment, the dip is 67% against the US dollar. Whether it's going to have, okay, so when it had these big dips, over 90%, I'm not too sure that it can go below 90% because as... It might. I mean, here, it hadn't proved itself. This is the thing. So there's people that are capitulating more in these areas here because it hasn't proven itself. Now it's really started to prove itself. It's created higher highs. It's forming a good structure. So there's going to be people that are saying, you know what? I don't want to sell all my teddy bear here. I'm going to sell all out of it because the fear's gotten to me. The fear's gotten to me. Is this going to last? I don't know. I want to take my profit now. Here's a different story. We've created a higher high. So it's probably going to have it's probably not going to have as big of a dip as a 93%. If we get to like 70 to 80%, that's going to be, that's going to be a pretty good buy if you can get there. So that's against the US dollar. And again, it's probably going to, tells the same story against Pulsechain. So against Pulsechain, it's had a 50% dip. So fascinating. And again, what does this tell me? It tells me that Pulsechain is so freaking cheap that people are probably looking at this going, this is the smart guy. This is the smart money, man. That's what I think. This is the smart money that I reckon it's a bit of capitulating, and also the smart money that's going. The value of Pulsechain is so damn cheap at these prices. When it takes off, I'm going to be able to rotate some of that Pulsechain back into Atropa and pDAI. That's what I see. I mean, let's have a look at Pulsechain just very quickly. While that loads up, I'll let that load up. Anything else here? So it's just the same across the board, man. It's just the same across the board. But what you want to look out for is these different opportunities with ratios. So for example, this one here. So this is Teddy Bear 9. And again, if you want to find Teddy Bear 9, so this is Japanese Teddy Bear 9. If you want to find Teddy Bear 9, go to some of my videos and look for how to search for contract addresses. I might even start leaving it in Maria's GitHub and the bottom just every single time, just so people are really familiar. I don't have to keep referencing. I don't have to write the contract addresses. I'll just put it in the video description so people can find it straight away. Now, so this is against USD, and I keep my eye on this one because this was something in the chat log where Teddy Bear 9 was one where it was you could conjure it up. It's going to have special features. So, okay, what did it do here? I can't even remember where I spoke about this last. So have a look at this box that's formed. Okay, so this is pure coincidence, just for the record. Now, it wicked up to this price. It's dangled at this price again and started to drop. It almost got to this price before. So it's like a very, I mean, this is, I'll tell you what, when I drew this box, I drew it when the date was back here. I can't even remember the last time I looked at this. So these are the kind of opportunities that you look out for within the Atropa ecosystem. This is the beauty of the Atropa ecosystem. If you're just looking to Pulsechain or to US dollar, you're really missing out. You're missing out on all the alpha. Keeping the liquidity in the system is like, it's great for the ecosystem, but it's also great for you because you can accumulate more tokens. So for example, to WBTC, you might go, right, I've got my Teddy Bear 9. I'm going to rotate this now into Pulsechain wrap Bitcoin with the expectation that over time, it's going to start to dip. It's going to start to dip down. So again, all this ratio alpha, love you, Somi. Somi's taught us all. He's basically like the content creator GOAT. I mean, if not the best in cryptocurrency at the moment. Like the amount of content in the alpha that you get, like any news that you want, Somi's onto it. So yeah, I probably am going to start getting into a position where I am going to start creating more ratio charts. So at the moment, I've got all my charts set up the top in my multi-charts on Deck Screener, but I'll probably get to a point where I'm going to start to look at this. Also starting to look at this against the weekly rather than the daily, now that we're starting to get more data, because this is what the big dogs do. This is what my favorites do. This is what Somi does. This is what the Moon King does. This is what the Crypto Kings do. They look at things on the weekly. So this is the 3-day now. So look at this. This is TSFI to Atropa. So, for example, if you sold your TSFI into Atropa here, like, yeah, man, like there's opportunities. If you made this swap here, you've basically, oh my goodness, just from this move, you could have just doubled your bag just from this tiny little move. Could have tripled your bag, almost tripled your bag. If you got the very, very bottom to the very, very local top, you've essentially tripled your bag. So, This is the alpha in the Atropa ecosystem that, again, if you're just looking at the individual charts, you're looking at it against the USD value, you're missing out. $2.22. Shout out to 222. What else have we got? All right, I'm just going to, okay, here's another one. Mantissa. So Almighty got me onto this one. Almighty, the young lad. Look at this. Look at this. So this is Mantissa to USDT. So there's a strong relationship to USDT. PUSDT. Look at these moves, bro. Look at this. If you swap from here to here to here, you've plus 50% your bag. Like there's all these, you know, when you don't have to do the whole thing. It depends what your strategy is. My strategy, the way that I like to do it, because I have multiple tokens, and it's like, well, I don't want to make the wrong decision, and I also don't want to overanalyze the decision either. I just want to go with, what am I seeing, and then just act. So what are the things that make me actually act? I just take portions of my portfolio of that coin. And then also I might say, all right, well, I've got Atropa, I've got pDAI, I've got Mantissa, I've got whatever I've got. And then I'll say, okay, well, am I 100% correct? I don't need to be 100% correct. I'll just say, well, you know what? I'll just do it with Mantissa. I'll just rotate Mantissa. I'm going to leave pDAI. I'm going to leave Atropa, and it puts your mind at ease. That's just the way that I like to do it. If I think of it like, oh, my whole bag, and I'm going to rotate my whole bag, it's like a huge risk. I'm not comfortable enough to make those kind of plays yet, because this channel is all about learning and growing. What I'm actually trying to do is emulate the mindset that I'm seeing from the goats, that I'm seeing from people like Somi, Moon King, the best people in crypto, the best investors, Raoul Pal, the kind of mindset goats, Richard Hart, the millionaire mindset, trying to emulate that mindset to make it big. That's what this channel is all about. Then also adjusting to my own temperament. So having that self-awareness. What kind of person am I? How do I like to do things? Do I like to be all in? Do I like to have, for me, I'm all in on crypto, and that's enough. Do I want to be all in on every single position? No, it's too much, because I don't actually have more value flowing in. If I had more value flowing in, if I was working a 9 to 5 where I was getting paid, I'm not full-time volunteer. If I was, yeah, maybe I probably would do that, but I adjust it to my circumstances, to my situation, to how I know that it's going to make me feel, because no matter what, I also feel those same things, but I'm separated from those things. I'm observing those things. Oh, this fear is coming up. And even now, man, there isn't even any fear coming up, but I can see it. That's how much conviction I have with the Atropa ecosystem. I can actually see it. But I will get that little thought in the back. I will get a thought that pops up. Maybe it was wrong, but just quickly just cast it into the infinity, and it's gone. It doesn't even exist. So it's the same as the fear and the greed, just using Twitter, using the sentiment to observe it, to see where we're actually going. What actually happens on the macro scale happens on the micro scale. It's exactly the same. It's exactly the same. There's going to be the same people that say it's dead, just like they say Bitcoin is dead at the end of a cycle when it drops 100% or 80%. Oh, it's dead, it's dead. That's the time that it reverses. There's people dancing on the graves of pDAI and Atropa right now. That to me tells me it's bloody good time to buy. And when you look at the discounts, I can actually confidently say it's a bloody good time to buy. So with that, take care. And actually, 1 second. How do I pause this? Son of a gun. Oh, here we go. Very quickly, good to great. A little book reading from this that I thought was fantastic. So this is about the Stockdale paradox. So they're analyzing great companies compared to just good companies. And so there's a big difference between being delusional and having faith and optimism. So what he was doing, he was talking to this guy, Stockdale, who was basically a prisoner in a Vietnam camp. And he said, the guys who survived were guys like me. The ones who didn't were optimists. Why? Because the optimists were actually delusional. They would say, oh, we're going to get out by next Christmas. We're going to get out by Easter. And what actually happened was, when Easter came around and Christmas came around, then the next Christmas, then the next Christmas, and the next Christmas, they're delusionally telling themselves with optimism that it's going to be okay at this set date. But he maintained the faith that he was always going to get out, but he just accepted the reality as it was. So that's why I wanted to read this particular part of the book. Another long pause. So the optimists, they were the ones who said, we're going to be out by Christmas, and Christmas would come and Christmas would go. Then they'd say, we're going to be out by Easter, and Easter would come and Easter would go. and then Thanksgiving, and then it would be Christmas again, and they died of a broken heart. Isn't that sad? That's another long pause and more walking. Then he turned to me and said, "This is a very important lesson. You must never confuse faith that you will prevail in the end, which you can never afford to lose, with the discipline to confront the most brutal facts of your current reality, whatever they might be. To this day, I carry a mental image of Stockdale admonishing the optimists. We're not getting out by Christmas. Deal with it." I wanted to read that because, for me, the faith remains unchanging in the Atropa ecosystem in Pulsechain. Some people think it's delusions, and I don't blame them. I don't blame them. When I say that we're going to succeed, it relies on certain things, and I just don't see those things failing. I really fundamentally believe that in my heart. I've assessed the situation, and I fundamentally believe that we're going to succeed. Does it mean that we're going to succeed within this bull run? Maybe not. But does it mean that we're going to succeed in the long run? Absolutely. Absolutely. You can't deny the results. You can't deny the system, the technology that's been built on Pulsechain. You can't deny the Atropa ecosystem. It's a new technology. Any cryptocurrency blockchain in the future that doesn't utilize this technology of doing things with liquidity bonding is going to be left behind. So no matter what, eyes will be all over Pulsechain one way or another. When that comes, I have no idea, but it is going to happen one way or another. Pulsechain is going to succeed. And if it doesn't, Atropa is still going to succeed. This is the beauty of this ecosystem. It can't actually lose. So with that, take care.